After studying this module, we shall be able to learn the concept of business cycle, know about the nature of business cycle, understand the different patterns and phases of business cycle, analyze the stylized facts of a business cycle, and identify the sources of business cycles as external and internal.
Over time, all economies are growing, some slowly while others rapidly. This growth is, however, not a smooth pattern. It is characterized by ups and downs in economic activity and prosperity. These upswings and downswings in output, employment, and other economic variables are called business cycles. Different patterns of business cycles are discernible in history based on duration of the cycle. The phenomena common to most or all business cycles expressed as typical behavior of a wide range of macroeconomic variables are called the stylized facts of a business cycle. The macroeconomic variables like output, employment, rate of interest, profits, price level, etc. typically increase during expansionary periods and decrease during a downslide. The sources of business cycles may be found within the functioning of the economy itself, that is endogenous, or may come from external forces like war, etc., that is exogenous. These cycles have become much less frequent and less severe over time. Their duration has also reduced. When most businesses across an economy are flourishing, it takes the economy to prosperity and growth. The business conditions are healthy with employment growing rapidly. Handsome wages and salaries are earned and profits are soaring, leading to rising living standards and sustained high demands. Capacity utilization is high with factories working overtime. Prices are high with or without inflation in the economy. Such periods of prosperity, however, do not last forever. These are often followed by business downturns wherein jobs are hard to find, unemployment and underemployment rises. Capacity utilization is low with deteriorating business performances and low and falling profits, business failures, low output and real incomes with reduced spending, widespread pessimism, tight credit conditions and a downturn in the financial and real sectors of the economy. Such downturns are usually short and mild, but there have been incidences of such conditions persisting for a decade and causing economic hardship, as in case of the Great Depression of the 1930s or in Japan in the 1990s. To put precisely, business cycles recurrent, leading to economic wide swings in aggregate output, income, employment and other economic variables in market oriented economies, which usually last for a period of 2 to 12 years. These are marked by widespread expansion or contraction in most segments of the economy.
All economic activities witness ups and downs. No business is ever steady. When most businesses across an economy are flourishing, it takes the economy to prosperity and growth. The business conditions are healthy, employment grows rapidly, handsome wages and salaries are earned, and profits soar, leading to rising living standards and sustained high demand. Capacity utilization is high with factories working overtime. Prices are high with or without inflation in the economy. Such periods of prosperity, however, do not last forever. These are often followed by business downturns wherein jobs are hard to find, unemployment and underemployment rises, capacity utilization is low with deteriorating business performances and low and falling profits, business failures, low output and real incomes with reduced spending, widespread pessimism, tight credit conditions, and a downturn in the financial and real sectors of the economy. Such downturns are usually short and mild, but there have been instances of such conditions persisting for a decade and causing economic hardships, as in the case of the Great Depression of the 1930s or in Japan in the 1990s. Eventually, the bottom is reached and recovery begins. The recovery may be short lived and incomplete. It may be marked by a quick upsurge in prices and speculation, followed by another slump, or it may be so strong as to take the economy to new heights of economic achievements and sustained prosperity. The observed growth of all market economies have invariably experienced such cycles. No economy grows over a smooth path, but on a secular uptrend marked with cyclical ups and downs. There is a continuous wave like movement in various economic aggregates. These fluctuations occur around a long term growth trend. The alternating ups and downs in the level of business activity are of varying amplitude and length. No two business cycles are the same. There is no fixed pattern, and therefore such cycles are hard to predict. Business cycle is also called a trade cycle. A business cycle or a trade cycle cannot be divided into shorter cycles of similar character and magnitude. These are usually measured by considering the growth rate of real gross domestic product. Different patterns of business cycles are discernible in history based on the duration of the cycle. These cycles normally last for 2 to 12 years. It can be seen in the graph that there are up and down movements over the upward moving growth curve. The business cycles do not follow any fixed pattern. Their duration and magnitude varies from time to time and place to place. Schumpeter proposed the following patterns of business cycles based on their periodicity: long wave, medium wave, and short wave. The long wave includes the Kuznets infrastructural investment cycle or the building cycle of 15 to 25 years, named after Simon Kuznets, and the Kondratiev wave or long technological cycle of 45 to 60 years, named after Nikolai Kondratiev. Major technological innovations like steam power, railroads, industrial and automobile electrification, and resulting structural changes are the main forces behind such long cycles. The medium wave refers to the jugular fixed investment cycle of 7 to 11 years. This is associated with the life cycle of investment goods that initiate fluctuations in major economic variables. After World War II, the duration of these cycles has got reduced to 5 to 7 years for most Western countries. The jugular cycles are considered to be true business cycles. The short wave. This is the kitchen inventory cycle of 2 to 5 years, named after Joseph Kitchen. The stochastic exogenous influences were seen to dominate the evolution of the economy. Variables like inventory stocks respond to these influences temporarily but eventually return to their equilibrium values. It is not established if all these cycles really exist, and literature has extensive discussions only on the medium and short wave cycles. The jugular cycles are considered to be true business cycles. All market economies exhibit cyclical upswings and downswings around a long-term growth curve. Broadly, a business cycle has four phases or stages: expansion or prosperity, recession or crisis, depression, and recovery. These phases occur at irregular intervals and last for varying lengths of time. Let us discuss these phases one by one.
Expansion or prosperity is also called a boom period. Starting from an equilibrium position, such a phase may result from an increased demand for consumption or investment. This would lead to increased demand for raw materials, increased employment of labor, and thereby generation of higher output and incomes. With high incomes, the consumer's demand increases for various commodities, leading to further increase in output, employment, and incomes in the affected sectors as also in prices. Existing capacities are fully utilized. There is widespread optimism. Firms want to invest more. Gradually, high incomes and increase in demand spread to all sectors. Consequently, investment demand rises and pushes up the market rate of interest. Wages and salaries also increase, but the increase in various cost components is much less than the surging revenues, and profit margins sharply increase. This pushes up the marginal efficiency of investment, further inducing the firms to invest more. Manufacturers also keep higher level of inventories in expectation of burgeoning demand. Real estate and stock markets also witness sharp increase in prices and transactions.
The main features of a boom period are high levels of output, incomes, and employment, high levels of investment and consumption demand, a high level of MEC and business optimism, expanding bank credit, and flourishing trade. Rising trend in interest rates, wages and salaries, and prices. Bullish stock markets and real estate, high living standards, full capacity utilization. Two or more quarters of declining real GDP constitutes recession. It is marked by contradictions in most sectors of the economy. This period is relatively shorter than the expansion phase. It witnesses a steep decline in investment demand as businesses shy away from new investments. The capital goods sector is the most affected. Unplanned inventories start piling. Falling investment leads to reduced output and incomes. Employment witnesses a significant fall. This in turn reduces the consumption demand, which further worsens the investors' sentiments. Fall in demand for consumption goods is less and often with a lag. Stock prices and real estate are also affected. Wages and prices do not fall steeply but are affected to a large extent. Expansionary monetary policies, often followed in such a scenario, together with a falling demand for credit, leads to low interest rates as well. Widespread pessimism and falling profits slash the marginal efficiency of capital. This dip is sometimes short lived and the economy starts recovering to reach a new boom. A severe recession is also called a crisis.
When recession continues unabated for a long period of time and engulfs all sectors of the economy, it is termed as depression. It is a phase of very low economic activity. Output, employment, prices, interest rates, profits, investment, consumer demand are all at extreme low levels. The wages and salaries tend to be sticky in the downward direction. They do not decline much due to pressure of trade unions and labor laws. Rents, interests, prices and taxes are also slow to decline. The overall cost does not decline to match the falling revenues, and profit margins are sharply cut. This, combined with an overall pessimism, makes for a very low marginal efficiency of capital and low investment, if any. Weaker firms are totally eliminated. Stock markets crash to new lows, and real estate is also affected.
Although output and employment falls throughout the economy, the decline is not uniform across sectors. The capital goods sector is hit the most. Within consumer goods sector, the demand for durables shows a greater decline. So, production and employment in the sectors producing machinery and equipment and durable goods is the most affected. Agricultural output is necessary for subsistence and is therefore highly inelastic. The same is true for basic consumer goods. These sectors therefore witness a marginal decline. The price structure and income distribution is distorted due to uneven impact of the downfall across sectors. This further affects the allocative efficiency in the economy. The main features of economic depression are as follows: extremely low levels of output, incomes, and employment, negative growth rates in the economy, negligible fresh investment, if any, falling consumption demand and trade volumes, stock accumulation, low level of MEC and business pessimism, minimal demand for bank credit and increasing bankruptcies, falling trend in interest rates and prices, bearish stock markets and real estate, low standards of living, and underutilization of capacity and underemployment. Recovery. This is often a gradual phase. It may be started by counter cyclical governmental policies or may begin on its own once the pent up inventories start vanishing and fresh demand shows up. Economic hardships compel workers to work at lower wages. Consumers start resuming their postponed consumption of durable goods, and newly employed workers also create a demand in the economy. This leads to increased employment and flow of incomes in the hands of people, leading to further increases in consumption demand. Producers become optimistic and start replacing their capital stock. Banks with excess liquidity are also willing to lend at low rates. All this increases investment and employment. With increasing demand and incomes, prices may also increase. This pushes up the marginal efficiency of capital and creates a new investment demand in the economy. Stock prices move up. Debt recoveries also start taking place. Things start taking a positive shape, and the recovery takes the economy to new heights of prosperity.
The economy reaches the lowest point, trough, and would often require some policy support to start with the process of recovery. It may also slide back after an initial attempt to recovery before it is finally able to recover and reach new heights. An economy need not necessarily enter the depression phase and may recover on its own after an initial crisis.
Let us now proceed to analyze the stylized facts of a business cycle. Empirical studies of business cycles suggest that features common to most observed business cycles can be isolated. Broadly, the economic sectors and variables can be identified as leaders, those variables and sectors which are fast to respond and are affected the most; coinciders, where the changes are observed at a level at par with the overall magnitude; and laggers, where the response comes with a lag and is not too severe. Stock exchange rates, market turnover, employment in manufacturing sectors, investment in capital goods are leaders. The related sectors move in conformity. Aggregate output and profit movements are coinciders, and the wages and prices and median term interest rates are laggers. Business profits show much higher amplitude than other affected variables. The production of capital goods exhibits a higher amplitude than the production of consumer goods. Within consumer goods, the output of durable goods shows a higher amplitude than that of non-durable ones. Production of agricultural output and natural resource exploitation, together with their prices, exhibit greater than average deviations during business cycles. Demand for agricultural goods and other basic necessities exhibit small amplitudes. Economic variables can move in different directions. Real wage movements are sometimes found to be counter-cyclical during downturns. The labor productivity, monetary aggregates, and short-term interest rates are pro-cyclical. Long-term interest rates move slightly in the direction of the coinciding series. The aggregate price movement is pro-cyclical, but some individual prices may witness counter-cyclical movements. The observed cycles have been asymmetric. In the distant past, the velocity of an upswing was found typically lower than a downswing. Recent research has, however, cast a doubt on the validity of this pattern. The actual trade cycle statistics correspond with the leading, coinciding, and the lagging series. This conformability is greater in the case of small countries. The amplitude of trade cycles has greatly reduced in the post World War period. With growing openness in the world economy, the business cycles have become international in character. Let us now move on to identify the sources of business cycles. There is a general disagreement over the factors leading to business cycles in the economy. While some economists attribute these fluctuations to the monetary factors, others find the causes in productivity shocks or psychological factors. Political reasons, various technological innovations, changes in aggregate demand, etc., have also been cited as reasons behind business cycles. Various possible explanations can be broadly put in two categories of theories: external or exogenous theories and internal or endogenous theories. The exogenous theories attribute the cyclical fluctuations to factors outside the economic system. Endogenous theories look for mechanisms leading to cyclical fluctuations within the system itself. According to this view, each recession has seeds of recovery and expansion, and each expansion is self terminating, giving way to a downslide, and so on. Thus, forces within the economic system give rise to self generating cycles. Exogenous theories include the external demand shock theory, war theory, the price shock theory, and the sunspot theory. The external demand shock theory outlines the effect of increased or reduced foreign demand for domestic output. War theory upheavals like war and revolutions generate additional demands and stimulate the economy. Peace and inactivity leads to recession. The price shock theory includes the shocks due to fluctuations in oil prices. Discovery of new lands and resources, including gold, stimulates the economy. Scientific breakthroughs and technological innovations are often found to start sustained expansion phases. Sunspot theory may capture the effect of any extrinsic random variables like climate change, various natural and man made disasters, etc. Endogenous theories include the following: psychological theory. As per this theory, alternating optimism and pessimism create waves of upturns and downslides. Inventory cycle theory. When inventory and demand are not in sync, it leads to upward or downward adjustments in production. Monetary theory. Changes in money supply leads to changes in aggregate demand. Underconsumption theory or overproduction. This leads to unintended inventories and a cut in production to attain equilibrium. Real business cycle theories. Innovations or productivity shocks spread to the rest of the economy. Equilibrium business cycle theories. Misperceptions about wage and price movements lead people to supply too little or too much labor. For example, workers often hold out in expectations of higher wages. Multiplier accelerator theories. Here, external or internal shocks get multiplied to produce changes in output and employment.
If we were to analyze actual business cycles in any part of the world, evidence of both endogenous and exogenous sources can be found. Disturbances of some sort are caused in the economy that push the economy above or below full employment. Once it is so, movements start taking place in order to attain the full employment equilibrium, giving rise to business cycles. In this module, we have learned about the recurrent economy, wide upswings and downswings in aggregate output, income employment, and other economic variables in market economies called business cycles. Business cycles are categorized as long wave, medium wave, and short wave based on their periodicity. A business cycle has four phases: expansion or prosperity, recession or crisis, depression, and recovery. Prosperity or boom is characterized by high levels of output, trade, incomes, employment, interest rates, prices, effective demand, marginal efficiency of capital, living standards, and other economic variables. Recession and depression are characterized by low levels of these variables. A prolonged and severe recession is a depression. Expansion or prosperity is also called a boom. Starting from an equilibrium position, such a phase may result from an increased demand for consumption or investment. 2 or more quarters of declining real GDP constitutes recession. It is marked by contractions in most sectors of the economy. This period is relatively shorter than expansion phase. It witnesses a steep decline in investment demand as business shy away from new investments. Depression is a phase of very low economic activity. Output, employment, prices, interest rates, profits, investments, consumer demand are all at extreme low levels. The wages and salaries tend to be sticky in the downward direction. Recovery may be started by counter-cyclical government policies or may begin on its own once the pent-up inventories start vanishing and fresh demand shows up. Economic hardships compel workers to work at lower wages. No two business cycles are alike in terms of their duration, amplitude, and various changes that come about in economic variables. Their pattern is irregular, but they all have some features in common. These are called the common characteristics or stylized facts of a business cycle. Empirical studies of business cycles suggest that features common to most observed business cycles can be isolated. Various possible explanations for business cycles can be broadly put in two categories of theories: exogenous theories and endogenous theories. The recurrent economy, wide upswings and downswings in aggregate output, income, employment, and other economic variables in market-oriented economies are called business cycles. These usually last for a period of 2 to 12 years and are marked by widespread expansion or contraction in most segments of the economy. Exogenous theories attribute the cyclical fluctuations to factors outside the economic system. Endogenous theories look for mechanisms leading to fluctuations within the system itself. Forces within the economic system give rise to self-generating cycles. The alternating ups and downs are of varying amplitude and length. Business cycles are categorized as long wave, medium wave and short wave based on their periodicity.